The notification sound from my phone cut through the silence of my new apartment like a knife. I was sitting on my secondhand couch, still wrapped in the moving blanket I'd been using as a throw, staring at the single box I hadn't unpacked yet. The one labeled wedding photos in my own handwriting from what felt like a lifetime ago. My name is Delilah, and exactly 3 weeks ago, I walked out of that courthouse feeling like I could finally breathe again. 10 years of marriage to Jasper had nearly suffocated me, but I'd won. The judge saw through his act, the concerned husband routine, the way he'd tilt his head and speak in that measured tone whenever I tried to explain what he'd put me through. $250,000. That's what my freedom cost, and honestly, it felt like a bargain. I picked up my phone, expecting maybe a text from Danielle checking in on me again. She'd been doing that a lot since the divorce finalized, like she was afraid I might disappear or something. Instead, it was a bank alert. Large withdrawal processed, 60,000 available balance, 180 scores, 392 dues, 15. The phone slipped from my hands and clattered onto the hardwood floor. I scrambled to pick it up, my heart hammering against my ribs. $60,000 gone, just like that. I opened the banking app with shaking fingers, praying it was some kind of mistake, maybe a delayed processing error from the settlement transfer, but there it was, clear as day. Wire transfer authorized 2:47 p.m. today. No, no, no. I was talking to myself now, pacing the small living room. This can't be happening. I called the bank's fraud line, my voice cracking as I explained to the representative that someone had stolen $60,000 from my account. I understand your concern, ma'am. Let me pull up your account details. The woman's voice was professional, detached. I see the transaction you're referring to. This withdrawal was authorized through your joint trust access. Joint trust access? What are you talking about? I don't have any joint accounts anymore. The divorce. According to our records, you have a family trust account with Ralph and Meredith Murphy listed as co signatories. This access was never revoked. The room started spinning. My parents, the trust account they'd insisted on setting up years ago for emergencies. I'd completely forgotten about it in the chaos of the divorce proceedings. Can you tell me where the money went? I'm sorry, ma'am, but I can only confirm that the withdrawal was legitimate according to our records. You'll need to speak with the other account holders for more information. I hung up and immediately called my mother. Delilah, honey, how are you settling in? Her voice was bright, cheerful, too cheerful. Mom, someone took $60,000 from my account. The bank said it was authorized through the family trust. Silence. Then, oh, sweetie, your father and I can explain. Why don't you come over for dinner tomorrow? We can talk about it then. Talk about it? Mom, that's my settlement money. That's my fresh start. I need to know what happened right now. Delilah, you're getting worked up over nothing. It's just a temporary thing. Your father had some investments that needed immediate attention, and we knew you'd understand. We're family. My stomach dropped. You took my money for Dad's investments? We borrowed it, honey. And honestly, after everything Jasper put up with during your marriage, we thought. I hung up. I sat there in the growing darkness of my apartment, the reality of what had just happened washing over me like ice water. My own parents had taken my money, not stolen. That would have been easier to process somehow. They'd taken it because they felt entitled to it, because they thought I owed them something, or worse, because they thought Jasper deserved it. The divorce wasn't over. It had never been over. I'd been celebrating my freedom while the people I trusted most were busy making sure I'd never really have it. I looked at that unopened box again, the one with the wedding photos. Maybe it was time to remember exactly what I'd been fighting against all these years. And maybe it was time to fight a little harder. My phone buzzed with a text from my mother. Don't be dramatic, Delilah. Come to dinner tomorrow and we'll sort this out like adults. Like adults. Right. I had a feeling tomorrow's dinner was going to be very educational. I didn't wait for dinner. The next morning, I drove straight to my parents' house with a thermos of coffee and a head full of questions that had kept me awake all night. Their suburban colonial looked exactly the same as always, perfectly manicured lawn, matching planters by the front door, the kind of house that screamed normal family to anyone driving by. I'd grown up believing that facade meant something. I used my key, calling out as I walked in, Mom, Dad, it's me. In the kitchen, honey. Mom's voice drifted from the back of the house. I found them both at the breakfast table, Dad reading his tablet while Mom sorted through mail. The picture of domestic tranquility. It made my skin crawl. Delilah, you're early. I was going to make your favorite pot roast tonight. Mom stood up to hug me, but I stepped back. We need to talk about the money. Now. Dad looked up from his tablet. Good morning to you, too. Don't. Just don't. $60,000, Dad. From my divorce settlement. The bank said you authorized it. Mom sat back down, folding her hands. Sweetie, you're making this sound so dramatic. It's a family matter. My divorce settlement is not a family matter. Of course it is. Dad set down his tablet. That money came from Jasper's business, which your mother and I helped him build with our connections. We introduced him to half his client base. I stared at him. Are you seriously suggesting you're entitled to my settlement because you helped my abusive ex husband's career? Abusive? Mom's voice went sharp. Delilah, that's a very serious accusation. It's not an accusation. It's what happened. Jasper was nothing but patient with you. Dad's tone was getting colder. That man put up with your mood swings, your anxiety attacks, your constant need for reassurance. He supported you through your depression. He caused my depression. That's enough. Mom stood up. I won't sit here and listen to you rewrite history. Jasper called us yesterday, very concerned about your mental state. He thinks you might need professional help. The room went silent, except for the hum of the refrigerator. I felt like I was falling through the floor. Jasper called you? He's worried about you, honey. We all are. He's worried about me. The man I divorced 3 weeks ago is calling my parents to discuss my mental health. Dad cleared his throat. He's still family, Delilah. Divorce doesn't erase 10 years of relationships. I needed air. I needed to get out of that kitchen before I said something I couldn't take back. I'm going to use the bathroom. I walked down the hallway, past the family photos that suddenly looked like evidence of a crime I was only beginning to understand. In the bathroom, I splashed cold water on my face and tried to process what I'd just heard. My parents were still in contact with Jasper. They thought I was mentally unstable. They'd taken my money and somehow convinced themselves it was justified. I was about to head back to the kitchen when I heard Mom's voice, louder now. She was on the phone. Told you she'd react this way? She's always been dramatic. I froze in the hallway. No, no, she doesn't suspect anything. She thinks it was just Ralph's investment opportunity. Mom laughed, actually laughed. Jasper, you were right about the timing. She's too scattered right now to think clearly. My legs went weak. I pressed myself against the wall, straining to hear. Of course, we'll keep the money safe until this blows over. She'll thank us eventually. A pause. What? Oh, Ralph's handling the transfer to your account tomorrow. The full amount, just like we discussed. Dad's voice joined in, and I realized she had him on speakerphone. He deserved that money anyway. Put up with her mood swings since college. Hell, I would have left her years ago. They both laughed. I stood there in my childhood hallway, listening to my parents conspire with my ex husband to steal my divorce settlement, and I felt something inside me break. Not break apart, break free. I walked back to the kitchen on silent feet. They were still on the phone, still laughing about how easy it had been to manipulate their own daughter. Well, I should go, Mom was saying. She's here asking questions, but don't worry, we'll handle it. Handle what? I asked from the doorway. Mom spun around, her face going white. The phone was still on speaker. Jasper's voice came through crystal clear. Delilah, is that you, sweetheart? Your parents and I were just. I walked over and hung up the phone. Delilah, that wasn't what it sounded like, Mom started. Really? Because it sounded like you've been planning this with my ex husband. It sounded like you think I'm too stupid to figure out that you're stealing from me. Dad stood up. Now you listen here, young lady. No, you listen. I'm done listening. I'm done believing your version of my own life. I walked out of that house and didn't look back. But I had a feeling this conversation wasn't over. Not by a long shot. I drove straight home, my hands shaking so badly I could barely grip the steering wheel. The conversation kept replaying in my head. Their laughter, Jasper's voice on speakerphone, the casual way they'd discussed stealing from me. Back in my apartment, I paced the living room like a caged animal. Then I remembered something that made me stop dead in my tracks. During the worst months of my marriage, when Jasper had me convinced I was losing my mind, I'd started recording conversations. Not to spy, just to prove to myself that I wasn't imagining things. I'd hidden a small digital recorder in our kitchen, the kind journalists use. After I moved out, I'd grabbed it without thinking, tossed it in a box with other random stuff. I tore through my unpacked boxes until I found it. The little device was still there, battery dead but intact. My hands trembled as I plugged it into my laptop. Hours of recordings, months of my life documented in audio files. I scrolled through the dates, looking for anything recent. There, 3 files from last week. I clicked on the first one, static, then voices. My mother's voice, clear as day. Jasper, are you sure this will work? Trust me, Meredith. I've been planning this since we filed. Delilah's too emotional right now to think straight. She'll never suspect her own parents. My father's voice. What if she asks questions about the trust account? Tell her it's temporary. Tell her it's for investments. She's always been gullible when it comes to family. I felt sick. I fast forwarded through the file. The beauty of it is, she thinks she won, Jasper continued. She got her big settlement, feels vindicated. Meanwhile, we funnel the money back where it belongs. I put up with 10 years of her instability. I earned this. She was always difficult, Mom agreed, even as a child. Remember how she used to have those tantrums? Those weren't tantrums, Dad said. That was manipulation. She learned early that crying got her attention. I paused the recording and ran to the bathroom, barely making it before I threw up. When I came back, I forced myself to listen to the rest. They'd planned everything: the timing of the withdrawal, the cover story about Dad's investments, even coaching each other on how to gaslight me if I got suspicious. The second recording was worse. They discussed my mental health issues like I was a case study. Jasper detailed every private moment from our marriage, my panic attacks, my therapy sessions, my struggles with depression that he'd caused. They laughed about how easy it would be to have me committed if I became too much trouble. By the third recording, I was taking notes. They'd laid out the entire scheme. The money would sit in my parents' account for exactly 30 days, then transferred to an offshore account Jasper had set up. If I tried to fight it legally, they'd claim I was having a breakdown and needed psychiatric intervention. I saved all 3 files to my email, made backup copies on 2 different flash drives, and printed out transcripts. Then I called Danielle. Dee, what's wrong? You sound terrible. Can you come over? I need to show you something. She was at my door in 20 minutes with Thai takeout and a bottle of wine. Talk to me. I played her the recordings, watched her face go from confusion to horror to pure rage. Those sick bastards, she whispered when the last file ended. Your own parents? They think I'm crazy, Danielle. They think I deserved everything Jasper did to me. No. She grabbed my shoulders. They think you're weak. There's a difference, and they're about to learn how wrong they are. What do I do? They have my money. They have a plan. They've been 3 steps ahead of me this whole time. You go to a lawyer, not for advice, for war. The next morning, I sat in Drake Martin's office with my folder of evidence. He was younger than I'd expected, maybe late 30s, with kind eyes and the kind of calm demeanor that made you want to trust him immediately. Let me make sure I understand this correctly, he said after reviewing everything. Your ex husband conspired with your parents to defraud you of your divorce settlement. That's exactly what happened. And you have recordings of them planning this conspiracy. 3 hours worth. He leaned back in his chair. Delilah, what I'm about to tell you might sound too good to be true, but if these recordings are authentic, and I believe they are, your ex husband committed multiple felonies. My heart started pounding. What kind of felonies? Perjury, for starters. He lied under oath about his intentions regarding the settlement, fraud, conspiracy to commit theft. Drake's voice got harder. And if we can prove he planned this before the divorce was finalized, we might be looking at racketeering charges. Racketeering? Organized criminal activity. Your parents would be co conspirators. He leaned forward. Delilah, this isn't just about getting your money back. This is about sending all 3 of them to prison. I stared at him, hardly daring to breathe. Can we really do that? We can try, but I need you to understand. Once we file these charges, there's no going back. Your relationship with your parents will be over forever. I thought about their laughter on that recording, about Jasper's voice discussing my instability like I was a broken toy, about 10 years of being told I was too sensitive, too emotional, too much. Good, I said. Let's destroy them. Drake gave me homework. I need you to document everything, he'd said. Every conversation, every text, every time they tried to control or manipulate you. Build me a timeline. So I spent the next 3 days digging through my past like an archaeologist, and what I found made me sick. The job offer from that marketing firm in Seattle when I was 26, the one that mysteriously fell through after the reference check. I'd called them back then, confused, and they'd said my father told them I was emotionally unstable and not ready for that level of responsibility. The time mom convinced me not to go back to school for my master's degree because Jasper needs you at home right now, the way they'd both insisted I put Jasper's name on my grandmother's inheritance because married couples should share everything. Every major decision in my adult life had been influenced by people who thought I was too broken to think for myself. I was spiraling down this rabbit hole when my phone rang. Daniel, get dressed, we're going out. I can't. I'm working on the case. You're obsessing. There's a difference. I'm picking you up in an hour. She took me to the women's shelter where I'd started volunteering after the divorce. It was something my therapist had suggested, helping others while I figured out my own life. Delilah! Tessa, the social worker, waved us over. Perfect timing. We're doing intake interviews today. Could you help with Sarah? Sarah was maybe 22, with a black eye that makeup couldn't quite hide, and a 3-year-old boy clinging to her leg. I don't know if I should be here, Sarah whispered. Maybe I'm overreacting. He says I am. Tell me what happened, I said gently. He threw a plate at me last night, but he was stressed about work, and I did burn dinner and. Stop. I knelt down to her level. Did you throw the plate at him? No, of course not. Then it's not your fault. Full stop. Sarah's eyes filled with tears. But everyone says I should try harder. His mom says I'm too sensitive. My own sister thinks I should stick it out for Tommy's sake. I felt something cold settle in my stomach. Sarah, can I tell you something? Sometimes the people who are supposed to protect us are the ones who hurt us the most. After Sarah got settled in her room, Tessa pulled me aside. You're good at this. Have you considered that your own experience might be more valuable than you think? What do you mean? I mean, you survived something most people don't understand, and now you're fighting back. That's powerful. That evening, I was back at my laptop, adding more entries to my timeline, when my doorbell rang. I looked through the peephole, and my blood ran cold. My mother stood on my doorstep with a casserole dish and her best fake smile. I opened the door, but didn't invite her in. What do you want, Mom? I brought you dinner. I thought we could talk. About how you stole my money, or about how you think I'm mentally unstable. Her smile faltered. Delilah, you're taking this all wrong. We're trying to help you. By conspiring with my abuser. Jasper is not your abuser. He's a good man who tried his best with a difficult situation. A difficult situation? Is that what you call your daughter? She pushed past me into the apartment. Look at this place, Delilah. Look how you're living. This is what happens when you make impulsive decisions. I like my apartment. It's tiny. It's sad. You had a beautiful home with Jasper, a husband who provided for you, and you threw it all away because you couldn't handle being married. I couldn't handle being abused. Stop saying that word. Her voice went sharp. You were not abused. You were spoiled. There's a difference. I stared at her. Get out. Delilah, get out of my apartment. Now. She didn't move. Your father and I have been talking. We think you need professional help. Real help, not just therapy. Maybe some time in a facility where. Are you threatening to have me committed? We're concerned about your mental state. These wild accusations, this paranoid behavior. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Heard you're causing trouble for your family. Some things never change. Jay. I showed Mom the screen. Did you give Jasper my new number? Her face went red. He's concerned about you too. He's harassing me, and you're helping him. We're trying to save you from yourself. No, You're trying to save yourselves from the truth. You enabled my abuse for 10 years because it was easier than admitting you raised a daughter who deserved better. She slapped me. The sound echoed through my small apartment like a gunshot. We both stood there, shocked. I want you to leave, I said quietly. And I want you to know that I'm not the broken little girl you think I am anymore. I'm done protecting your feelings at the expense of my own life. You'll regret this, Delilah. Family is all you have. Then I guess I'll have to learn to live without it. After she left, I sat on my couch and cried. Not for the family I was losing, but for the family I'd never really had. Then I picked up my phone and called Drake. I want to file the charges tomorrow, I said, all of them. Are you sure? I've never been more sure of anything in my life. Drake filed the motion to reopen my divorce settlement on a Tuesday morning. By Wednesday afternoon, my phone was blowing up. Delilah, what the hell do you think you're doing? Jasper's voice was tight with barely controlled rage. This is harassment. I'll sue you for defamation. Go ahead, I said calmly. I have recordings. Silence. Then, what recordings? Wouldn't you like to know? He hung up. An hour later, my father called. You need to stop this nonsense immediately. You're embarrassing the family. The family embarrassed itself when they decided to steal from me. We didn't steal anything. That money was always meant to be shared. Shared with who? My abusive ex husband? Jasper is a good man who deserves. I hung up on him too. By Friday, Drake called with an update. The court accepted our motion. We have a hearing date, 3 weeks from Monday. But Delilah, I need to warn you, Jasper's lawyer is claiming you're having a mental breakdown. They're going to try to paint you as unstable. Let them try. That weekend, I was at the shelter helping with a fundraising event when Danielle rushed over, her phone in her hand. You need to see this, she said, pulling me aside. She showed me an Instagram story from someone named Oakley, a blonde influencer with perfect teeth and a ring light setup. I recognized her from Jasper's social media. His new girlfriend. Oh my god, you guys, Oakley was saying to her phone camera. So apparently, my boyfriend's ex wife is like totally stalking us. She's trying to take him back to court because she's jealous of our relationship. It's honestly so sad. Are you kidding me? I stared at the screen. Wait, there's more. Danielle swiped to the next story. She posted screenshots. My stomach dropped. There on Oakley's Instagram story were screenshots of a group chat. Jasper's messages were clearly visible. Delilah's losing it, claiming we conspired against her Lulster. She always was paranoid. Remember how she used to accuse me of gaslighting her? Like, maybe you're just wrong sometimes, you know? The best part is she thinks she's so smart with this lawyer. Meanwhile, her parents and I already moved the money offshore. She'll never see a dime of it. Her dad was right. Should have had her committed years ago. Would have saved everyone a lot of trouble. I screenshotted everything before Oakley could delete it. This is evidence, I told Danielle. He just confessed to everything in writing. And his girlfriend just broadcast it to 10,000 followers. Monday morning, I was in Drake's office showing him the screenshots when his assistant knocked. Mr. Martin, there's a young woman here to see Ms. Delilah. Says it's urgent. Oakley walked in looking nothing like her Instagram photos. No ring light, no perfect makeup. She looked terrified. I'm so sorry, she blurted out before anyone could speak. I didn't know. I swear I didn't know what he was doing to you. What changed your mind? I asked. He hit me. Her voice was barely a whisper. Last night, when I told him people were asking questions about those screenshots, he said it was my fault for being stupid, and then he. She touched her cheek. Drake leaned forward. Oakley, I need you to understand something. Anything you tell us could be used in court. Good, I want it to be used in court. She pulled out her phone. I recorded him this morning. He doesn't know. She played the audio. Jasper's voice, clear and angry. You ruined everything, you stupid bitch. Do you have any idea how much money is at stake here? Delilah's parents and I have been planning this for months. Now she has evidence because of your big mouth. I was scared, Oakley's voice on the recording, shaky and small. You should be scared. You think I won't do to you what I did to her? I broke that woman down until she couldn't tell reality from her own imagination. I can do the same to you. Drake and I exchanged looks. There's more, Oakley said. He's been bragging to his friends about how he played the system. I have screenshots of those conversations, too. She showed us her phone. Message after message of Jasper detailing exactly how he'd manipulated the divorce proceedings, how he'd coached my parents to gaslight me, how he'd planned to steal my settlement from the beginning. Why are you helping me? I asked her. Because I believed him when he said you were crazy. I helped him make you look bad online. I was part of hurting you. Tears started falling down her cheeks. And because I'm 28 years old and I don't want to end up like you did, spending 10 years thinking I'm the problem when really he's the monster. Drake was already pulling up forms on his computer. Oakley, would you be willing to testify? Yes, whatever it takes. That night, I got a text from an unknown number. They'll never believe you. You've always been unstable. Everyone knows it. I showed it to Danielle. Jasper? Has to be. He's panicking. I stared at the message, waiting for the familiar wave of self doubt to hit. The voice in my head that would whisper, maybe he's right, maybe you are crazy. But it didn't come. Instead, I felt something else entirely: clarity, power, the absolute certainty that I was done being afraid of my own truth. I typed back, see you in court. The courthouse was packed. Word had gotten out somehow, maybe through Oakley's social media, maybe through the legal gossip network. I sat at the plaintiff's table with Drake, watching my parents enter with their lawyer. Mom wore her best navy suit, the one she saved for church and funerals. Dad looked uncomfortable in his tie. They didn't look at me. Jasper strutted in like he owned the place, his lawyer beside him. He caught my eye and smirked. That same condescending smile I'd seen 1,000 times during our marriage. Judge Wilcox entered, and we all stood. He was older than I'd expected, maybe mid-60s, with sharp eyes that seemed to take in everything at once. This is a motion to reopen the divorce settlement in Murphy versus Murphy, he announced. I've reviewed the initial filings. This is highly unusual. Mr. Martin, you're claiming fraud? Drake stood. Yes, Your Honor. We have evidence that the defendant conspired with the plaintiff's parents to defraud her of her rightful settlement. That's a serious accusation? Mr. Richardson? He looked at Jasper's lawyer. Your Honor, my client believes the plaintiff is suffering from mental health issues that have led to these paranoid delusions. Her own parents will testify to her unstable behavior. I see. Let's hear from the parents first. My father took the stand. He looked nervous, fidgeting with his wedding ring. Mr. Ralph, you've known the plaintiff her entire life. In your opinion, is she mentally stable? Dad cleared his throat. Delilah has always been emotional? Even as a child, she had trouble distinguishing between reality and her feelings. She'd make up stories, blame others for her problems. And during her marriage? Jasper was very patient with her. She'd have these episodes where she'd accuse him of things that never happened. We tried to help her see reason. What about the money transfer from her account? That was a family investment opportunity. We've always helped each other financially. Delilah knew about it. Drake stood for cross examination. Mr. Ralph, did you tell your daughter about this investment before you took her money? Well, no, but did you ask her permission? It was temporary. Yes or no, sir? Did you ask permission before taking $60,000 from your daughter's divorce settlement? Dad's face went red. No. And where is that money now? It's safe. In an investment account. Whose investment account? Dad looked at his lawyer, who nodded. It's complicated. The account is offshore for tax purposes. Whose name is on this offshore account? I. I'm not sure of the exact details. You're not sure who you gave your daughter's money to? Objection, Jasper's lawyer called out. Argumentative. Sustained. Move on, Mr. Martin. Drake nodded. No further questions. My mother took the stand next. She looked composed, confident. This was her element, performing for an audience. Mrs. Meredith, tell us about your daughter's mental state during her marriage. Delilah has always been fragile. She sees malice where none exists. During her marriage, she became increasingly paranoid, accusing Jasper of psychological abuse that simply never happened. How do you know it never happened? Because Jasper is a good man. He provided for her, was patient with her moods, supported her through her depression. If anything, she was emotionally abusive to him. I felt Danielle squeeze my hand from the gallery. And these current accusations? This is exactly the kind of behavior we've seen from her for years. She can't accept responsibility for her failed marriage, so she's creating elaborate conspiracy theories to avoid facing the truth. Mom looked directly at me as she said it, her eyes cold and certain. Drake approached for cross examination. Mrs. Meredith, you're in contact with your daughter's ex husband? Occasionally. He's concerned about her welfare. How often is occasionally? I don't keep track. Would it surprise you to know that phone records show daily contact between you and Jasper for the past month? Mom's composure cracked slightly. We're concerned about Delilah. Concerned enough to plan how to handle her questions about missing money? I don't know what you mean. Drake walked to his table and picked up a folder. Your Honor, I'd like to play an audio recording for the court. Objection. Jasper's lawyer jumped up. We haven't heard this recording. This is ambush tactics. Your Honor, Drake replied calmly, this recording was made in the plaintiff's own home. She has every right to record conversations in her private residence. Judge Wilcox considered. I'll allow it, but this better be relevant, Mr. Martin. Drake nodded to the court technician. This recording was made 6 days ago in the plaintiff's kitchen. The courtroom went silent as my mother's voice filled the air. Jasper, are you sure this will work? Then Jasper's voice. Trust me, Meredith. I've been planning this since we filed. Delilah's too emotional right now to think straight. My father's voice. He deserved that money anyway. Put up with her mood swings since college. Hell, I would have left her years ago. Their laughter echoed through the courtroom. I watched my mother's face go white. Dad looked like he might be sick. Your Honor, Mom stammered, that recording was taken without our knowledge. In your daughter's home, Judge Wilcox said sharply, where you were discussing stealing her money. His voice had gone ice cold. Mrs. Meredith, did you just commit perjury in my courtroom? Mom opened her mouth, then closed it. Then she fainted, slumping forward in the witness chair. The bailiff rushed forward as chaos erupted in the gallery. I sat perfectly still, watching my mother being helped to a chair, listening to the whispers and gasps around me. Judge Wilcox banged his gavel. We'll recess for 15 minutes. When we return, I want to hear from Mr. Jasper. And counselors, we may need to discuss perjury charges. I looked back at Danielle, who was grinning like she'd just won the lottery. How do you feel? Drake whispered. Like I'm finally telling the truth? I whispered back. When court resumed, Judge Wilcox looked like a man who'd seen enough bullshit for one lifetime. Mr. Jasper, please take the stand. Jasper walked up with his usual swagger, but I could see sweat beading on his forehead. He raised his right hand for the oath. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I do. His lawyer started with softball questions. Jasper painted himself as the long suffering husband, the victim of my increasingly erratic behavior. She became paranoid, Your Honor, accused me of things that never happened. I tried to get her help, but she refused treatment. And the divorce settlement? I agreed to a generous settlement because I felt sorry for her. I wanted her to have a fresh start even after everything she put me through. No further questions? Drake stood up, and I saw something predatory in his smile. Mr. Jasper, you testified that you wanted your ex wife to have a fresh start. That's correct? Is that why you conspired with her parents to steal $60,000 of her settlement? Objection! Jasper's lawyer shot up. Overruled. Answer the question, Mr. Jasper. I didn't steal anything. Her parents made an investment decision. With money that wasn't theirs? It's complicated. It's really not. Did you or did you not plan to take money from your ex wife's settlement? Jasper's jaw tightened. No. Drake walked to his table and picked up a phone. Your Honor, I'd like to play a recording made by Miss Oakley, the defendant's current girlfriend. Objection! Hearsay! It's the defendant's own voice, Your Honor. His own words. I'll allow it. Jasper's voice filled the courtroom. Delilah's parents and I have been planning this for months. Now she has evidence because of your big mouth. The color drained from Jasper's face. Do you recognize your own voice, Mr. Jasper? That recording was taken without my consent. That's not what I asked. Is that your voice? Yes, but. And in that recording, you admit to planning this conspiracy for months? I was angry. I misspoke. Drake played another clip. I broke that woman down until she couldn't tell reality from her own imagination. I can do the same to you. Gasps rippled through the courtroom. I saw several people in the gallery shaking their heads. Mr. Jasper, did you just admit to psychologically abusing your ex wife? That's not what I meant. What did you mean when you said you broke her down? Jasper looked at his lawyer, panic in his eyes. I. She was difficult to live with. I had to be firm sometimes. Firm enough to make her question her own reality? She was already unstable. So unstable that she managed to secretly record your conspiracy and build a legal case against you? Jasper's mouth opened and closed like a fish out of water. Your Honor, Drake continued, I have additional evidence. Screenshots of text messages where the defendant brags to friends about playing the system and getting away with it. He handed the exhibits to the bailiff. Judge Wilcox reviewed them, his expression getting darker with each page. Mr. Jasper, in these messages, you describe in detail how you manipulated the divorce proceedings. You call your ex wife crazy and gullible. You joke about having her committed. Are these your messages? Jasper looked at his lawyer again. The lawyer shook his head slightly. I invoke my Fifth Amendment right against self incrimination. Judge Wilcox's eyebrows shot up. You're invoking the Fifth? In a civil proceeding about your divorce settlement? Yes, Your Honor. Interesting choice. The judge turned to me. Ms. Delilah, would you like to make a statement? I stood up, my legs shaky, but my voice steady. Your Honor, for 10 years I was told I was too sensitive, too emotional, too unstable to trust my own perceptions. My husband convinced me I was losing my mind. My parents convinced me I was the problem in my marriage. I looked at Jasper, then at my parents. But I wasn't crazy. I was being systematically abused and gaslit by the people who were supposed to love me most. My voice got stronger. They didn't just steal my money, they stole my sense of reality. They made me doubt everything I knew to be true about my own life. I turned back to the judge. This isn't just about $60,000. This is about a woman's right to trust her own experience. It's about holding people accountable when they use love as a weapon. The courtroom was silent. Judge Wilcox leaned back in his chair. I've been on this bench for 23 years, and I've rarely seen such a clear case of fraud and perjury. He looked at Jasper. Mr. Jasper, you lied under oath in your original divorce proceedings. You conspired to defraud your ex wife of her rightful settlement. You admitted on tape to psychological abuse. Then he looked at my parents. Mr. and Mrs. Ralph, you committed perjury in my courtroom today. You participated in a criminal conspiracy against your own daughter. He banged his gavel. I'm ordering the immediate return of all funds to Ms. Delilah, plus damages and legal fees. I'm also referring this case to the district attorney for criminal prosecution. Jasper's lawyer was frantically whispering in his ear. My parents looked like they'd aged 10 years in 10 minutes. Furthermore, Judge Wilcox continued, I'm issuing a restraining order. None of you are to contact Ms. Delilah directly or indirectly. As the bailiff approached Jasper with handcuffs, he looked at me one last time. This isn't over, Delilah. I smiled. Yes, it is. Outside the courthouse, Oakley was waiting by the steps. I wanted to thank you, she said, for showing me what he really was before it was too late. What will you do now? Document everything. Make sure other women know what to look for. She paused. Maybe we can work together, warn people about men like him. I looked back at the courthouse, then at this young woman who'd found her courage just in time. Yeah, I said. I'd like that. The check arrived on a Thursday. $347,000, my original settlement plus damages, legal fees, and interest. I stared at the number until it stopped looking real. Drake called that afternoon. Jasper pled guilty to avoid federal charges. He'll serve 18 months. Your parents took a plea deal too, probation and community service, but they have to pay restitution. How much restitution? 50,000 each, plus they're banned from accessing any of your financial accounts ever. I hung up and sat in my apartment, surrounded by the life I'd built from scratch. It was quiet, peaceful. Mine. My phone buzzed. Danielle. Dinner tonight? I'm buying. We're celebrating. Celebrating what? You being free, really, truly free. At dinner, Danielle raised her wine glass. To my best friend, who went to war with her entire family and won. I didn't want to go to war. No, but when they forced you into it, you didn't just survive. You dominated. She grinned. I'm so proud of you, I could cry. Please don't cry. I've done enough crying for both of us. The next morning, I drove to the women's shelter. Tessa was in her office, buried in paperwork. Delilah, how did court go? I've been thinking about you. I won. All of it. She looked up, studying my face. How do you feel? Empty. But good empty, if that makes sense. Like I cleaned out a house that was full of junk. And now you get to decide what to put in it. I pulled out my checkbook. I want to start a scholarship fund for women leaving abusive situations who need legal help. How much are you thinking? 100,000 to start. Tessa's pen clattered to her desk. Delilah, that's incredible, but are you sure? That's a lot of money. It's money I got back from people who tried to convince me I didn't deserve it. I can't think of a better use. We spent the afternoon setting up the fund, the Delilah Murphy Foundation for Legal Justice, my name on something that would help other women fight back. That evening, I was making dinner when my doorbell rang. Through the peephole, I saw a delivery driver with flowers. The card read, "Congratulations on your victory. You inspired me to leave my own toxic situation. A grateful stranger who read about your case online." I was still holding the flowers when my phone rang. Unknown number. "Hello? Delilah, it's your mother." My stomach clenched. "You're not supposed to contact me. I'm calling from jail. They give you one phone call, and I needed to talk to you." "About what?" "I wanted to apologize and to tell you that you were right. About everything." I sat down hard on my couch. "What?" "Your father and we've been talking, really talking, for the first time in years, about what we did to you, about how we treated you." Her voice cracked. "We were so wrong, Delilah, so terribly wrong." "Why are you telling me this now?" "Because I'm sitting in a cell, and all I can think about is how we failed you, how we chose a man who hurt you over our own daughter, how we made you think you were crazy when you were the only one seeing clearly." I didn't say anything. "I know you probably can't forgive us. I know we destroyed any chance of having a real relationship with you, but I needed you to know that we know. We know what we did." "Mom, you don't have to say anything. I'm proud of you for fighting back, for not letting us break you." She was crying now. "I'm proud that you're stronger than we ever taught you to be." The line went quiet. "I have to go now. But Delilah, you were never the problem. You were never too much. You were exactly who you were supposed to be, and we were too small to see it." She hung up. I sat there holding my phone, tears streaming down my face. Not sad tears, something else. Relief, maybe. Or closure. My phone buzzed with a text from Oakley. "Posted the video about recognizing financial abuse. Already got 500 comments from women sharing their stories. You started something big." Then another text from a number I didn't recognize. "Saw your story online. Filing for divorce tomorrow. Thank you for showing me it's possible to win." And another. "Your case gave me courage to report my ex to the police. He's finally facing charges." I scrolled through message after message from women who'd found their voices because I'd found mine. I walked to my window and looked out at the city lights. Somewhere out there, women were making plans to leave. Others were gathering evidence. Some were sitting in lawyers' offices, demanding justice. My phone rang one more time. "Danielle, turn on Channel 7. You're on the news." I flipped to the local station. There was my photo next to the headline: "Local Women's Court Victory Sparks Movement Against Financial Abuse." The reporter was interviewing Drake. "This case represents something bigger than one woman's divorce settlement. It's about holding abusers accountable, even when they're family members." I turned off the TV and smiled. I'd lost a husband, parents, and the illusion of a perfect family, but I'd gained something more valuable: the unshakable knowledge that I could trust myself, that my truth mattered, that I was worth fighting for. My apartment was still small, still quiet, still mine. And that was exactly enough.